Good morning. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, I guess, wherever you are in the world. Who knows? We could have people listening from all over the world, Vinny. How you doing? Can you hear me? Vin, can you hear me okay? Hello? Can you hear me, Vinny? Oh, dear. 1 second.
No volume.
Oh, I can hear you. Oh, my goodness. Love. I'm just going to welcome everyone in the show. Just a quick moment. We've got Gillian saying hello all. Owen Lloyd Martin saying hi, Gillian. Hi, everyone. Suze is saying live from sunny. Is it sunny? Live from San Martin de Porto. It's Louisa. Yay. It's raining. It's raining here. And we've got Squire of the Shires here saying hello, everybody. Hello, Squire of the Shires. Welcome back. Now, we've got a funny kind of situation going on because Jay and Vinny were both here and I could hear Vinny right at the start. Now, can you hear me, Vinny? Can you hear me, Vin? I don't think he can hear me. Vin, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Vinny. He's just looking at me. I don't think he can hear me. I'm just going to... I can hear... Can everyone else hear me? Like, if you're watching the show, can you just let me know that you can hear me, please? If that's possible. Because Vinny apparently can't. And I can see that my mic should be working. And I can hear the sound. Yeah, everyone can hear me, Vinny. Vin... So I need to just wave goodbye to you. Sorry. We had Jay on as well this morning. And so Jay turned up and I was getting feedback from her computer. It's like a massive Mercury retrograde kind of thing. I don't know what to do because because, you know, Vinny can't hear me. And then Jay is just restarting her computer. So hopefully we'll get all the sound sorted out. But anyway, what gets you excited about life? That's what I would like to hear. You know, if there's something that absolutely makes you chuckle, then let us know. And maybe you can be part of the show today. Let's bring Jay on. I can just see her in front of me right now. Hey Jay, how you doing?
Hello, darling. How are we doing for the sound? Because I know we had one. Is that okay?
That's perfect.
Oh, fabulous. Oh, that's good. And I can hear you too.
Yes. The only problem is we had Vinny before and now Vinny can't hear us.
Oh no. Oh, I might have known. It's one of those days. Never mind.
No, everyone can hear us, but no one can hear you. Let's see if he gets that.
Come back, Vinny. We need you.
Oh no!
Okay.
Well, I just thrown off, and I was just thrown off, and a weird screen with forbidden access on it came up. Yikes! What is going on today? There must be some kind of rift in the force somewhere.
Yes, there's a glitch in the matrix, and we're in the middle of it. We're not in Kansas anymore, Toto.
It definitely seems like that.
Oh, here he is! Yay!
Hello.
Hi, lovely. Hi.
Oh, Vinny, are you there?
I am here. Yeah.
Oh my God. It's
Wow,
like an episode of the Twilight Zone, isn't it? It's like, oh my God, where's he gone? He's in another dimension. Maybe that's it. Maybe we're all in just different dimensions and we have to kind of meet up in the middle.
Who is having these kind of experiences right now? You know, I'm hearing about these kinds of things from lots of clients and people that I chat with, that life is just a little bit weird on the sensory, you know, scale. You know, people are experiencing things, hearing things, seeing things, feeling things. And then stuff that they've known to be true in the past, a bit like the Mandela effect that some people sometimes
Yes.
talk about. You know, all of a sudden it's like, hang on, that's never happened before. And yet that's the new truth. It's bizarre. It does feel like
definitely.
Please let us know your experiences of that, if that's going on for you. Anyway, Suze is saying, it seems to be one of those days indeed. And Gillian's saying, haha, you're obviously very important.
Of course. Of course.
Of
course we are.
So anyway, I've got you lovelies back, and we're hoping to talk about what gets us excited about life. What was your first thought when you saw that title? Vinnie.
Go, Vinnie.
I couldn't think of anything.
Oh,
really?
And then it was on reflection and a few things that you said. And I thought, yeah, I'm excited about health.
Yeah.
I'm excited about what I see with clients and just the human potential.
Yeah.
I'm excited about martial arts that I do. And it's easy sometimes to forget, isn't it? Take things for granted.
Yes. Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think.
that's definitely true.
Yeah,
What about you,
definitely.
Jay? What were your first thoughts about?
Oh, well, like Vinnie, first of all, I'm thinking, what's there to get excited about in this day and age? So it started out quite negative. And then I thought, hang on a minute, my daughter is getting married on Saturday and it's all a bit impromptu and they've been together for quite a long time, but they've decided to tie the knot. So that's really exciting. Daughter and I have had a shopping trip for, wedding things. It's very impromptu and it's very informal, which, it suits us all. And the children, their two children, are very excited about it. So, absolutely over the moon. So today, after this show, I am mostly baking cakes. I've opted to do the wedding cake, me and my big mouth.
You're so good at that.
Oh my God, it's just, yes. Anyway, so that excites me. And also I had a thought. I was listening to various things in the week and I was getting quite sort of, bit Eeyore about everything. And then I had a chat with our lovely Benjamin yesterday, who helped me to get it back all into perspective. And that excited me because I was kind of feeling like, oh my God, what's going on in the world? Again, it's just occasionally it gets to you. And then I just realized, I thought, hang on. And he gave me, I'm just going to try and find it here. He gave me this thing, right? And he said, just say this mantra. I choose to love my life and be happy, and really mean it. And I just thought, oh my God, it's that simple. I choose to love my life and be happy. Yeah. And all of the things that I'd been worrying about, because I'm just complete worrier about everything, anything. A fly drops, I worry about it. Was it my fault, And suddenly it's like I dropped into my heart and he said, just hand it over to your superconscious, God, whatever you want to call it, that higher part that knows how to deal with it. Because I said, I'm just overwhelmed again. What's going on? And I really found it difficult to sort of get out of that. I spoke to Benjamin. He gave me that little mantra and talked me through it in his inimitable way. And we ended up laughing. And then that was it. I was like, you know what? You're right. I'm not responsible for everything in the bloody world. I can't fix everything, like we said the last time. And so I started to get excited about things again, And then last night, Kim and I went down by the river. And at the moment, the weather's been absolutely horrendous here. We've had Storm Nigel. What a name. Storm Nigel. And the River Dee is absolutely swollen to the hilt, and it's so noisy we have to shut the windows at night because it's raging past the house. I'm like, God, all I wanted was to live in a peaceful cottage in Wales with a tinkly little river to go to sleep at night, and it's like
Yeah.
So we walked there and I got so excited because we saw the men on the river in their canoes, would you believe? Idiots. But no, they're not. They're absolutely so brave. And I was like, oh my God, I'd so love to do that. And that excited me because I thought, how wonderful would it be to just get into a canoe, obviously with a professional with me, and learn to just, shoot the rapids next to me, So that's another thing I got excited about. Even at my age.
Do you know, that's one of the things that I really get excited about, actually. Not like the idea of canoeing down a river, though that does sound really cool. I actually see the paddle boarders in our bay and think, yeah, I'm going to do that one day.
Oh God, do it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like a great thing to do. But what really gets me excited is just all the different things I can get excited about. And for me, learning is the pinnacle. Like the moment I get a hint of something new, that's it. I just dive right into it. And I love the fact that there's so much to learn and so much to experience. And Vinnie,
I agree.
I mean, Vinnie, you're somebody that I've known for years who I think he's got 101 different like pastimes and habits that you really enjoy. And I was thinking, oh, Vinnie's going to have loads.
And I didn't think I did.
Yeah,
I did.
Oh, bless you. Wow.
I don't mean that in a. It's just interesting because I forgot. So there's something that stands out to me from what you said, and that is the importance of allowing ourselves to be exposed to things that we could be excited about.
Yeah.
And also remembering that which does excite us. Because sometimes it's put aside for other things.
Yeah.
The day-to-day responsibilities and things. And we can forget what we are passionate about.
Yeah.
We can. Can I just say as well, Ben, when Ben and I were chatting yesterday, and he was talking me through how to do whatever it was, and one of the things I do get excited about is finding ways that I can transmute what's going on within me so that I can become the best person that I can be on any given day. It's not always easy, but at least we try, don't we? And so that excited me that I'd actually found the key to go through the door that was stopping me from being the best me that day. So that was a good thing. Wonderful. And I said to Ben, it's a bit like when we get into these uncomfortable comfort zones, it's like wearing a pair of shoes that are too small for you, and you keep going, oh, it's all right, I'll cut the toes out, I'll do this, I'll do that. Just get a new bloody pair of shoes, for God's sake, but we resist. We just resist. But it excited me, the thought that I'd had that thought because it was so clear to me that I'd just been trying to wear the same pair of shoes and my feet were hurting.
Yes.
And that reminds me of something I was thinking about when I was initially thinking about what is it makes me excited. Just doing the most simple things can shift us into a much more positive mindset. So like you said, with a mantra, but also things like optimal hydration, or just drinking plenty of water. Just that one thing can create a big physical and emotional shift and mental shift for somebody that's very hydrated. And getting enough sleep.
Yes.
Cutting back on the overstimulation through social media, for example. Giving the nervous system time just to calm. So sitting in silence 5 to 10 minutes a day, doing absolutely nothing, just sitting with the eyes closed. There'll be resistance to it initially. Well, that calming of the nervous system, they are really significant in terms of shifting how we feel on a day-to-day basis. And it shows how powerful we are, because that mantra you did shifted you. Somebody didn't do it as an intervention. You did it yourself and shifted yourself. And that for me is massive, because it's a reminder yet again of how powerful we are in not only creating our current reality, but in how we can influence it and change it consciously, rather than waiting for somebody else to make us happy or an experience to make me happy, and to actually create the shift myself. So that's, to me, very inspiring.
That was such a... And it's funny because, we've all been at this for quite a number of years now. So you suddenly think, I should know this. Why did I forget? Because I'd allowed myself to get into the fear and bogging down. And what if I'm not good enough? Even just making a wedding cake for my daughter. What if it's not good enough? What if she hates it? What if I get it wrong? What if it falls down? All these silly things, which at the end of the day don't really mean anything. And what highlighted that more for me was my sister, bless her, called me a couple of days ago, and I was in the middle of my, oh, how do I get out of all this, rubbish? And she just rang me, and she was crying. And her little dog's ill at the moment. And Kizzy's our family dog. She's 13 now. And, just immediately I felt myself drop into my heart and just literally whoosh energy out to her. That was another thing that I can get excited about, because as soon as somebody needs something genuinely, I'm right there in the heart. And all the rest went into absolute insignificance. It's like nothing matters but that we concentrate on healing this little dog and making her feel better, because we all just love her, and my sister, I wanted to make her feel better too. So that was a good revelation as well for me. So I don't know if anybody else has got any stories like that.
Yeah, I have actually. But it looks like Vinnie just wants to share something, because you're going.
Yeah, it's just really interesting that your motivation was so high. You just did it.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. You just did it straight away.
Totally. Yeah. Not a thought. It was like, oh my God, she needs me. There you go, in the heart. And I think if we could take that little model, and I know we can't think these things because the mind and the heart and all the rest of it are, sometimes at odds. But if we could train ourselves to just to drop into the heart, even when we get a thought that goes, oh, well, you were horrible to your mother in 1942. That's not a good feeling. I'm like, no, that doesn't fit anymore. And I've had an awful lot of deja vu moments, Louisa. You were saying earlier on, I've had loads of those, thinking, God, I've said that before. I've been in this before. That's happened an awful lot in the last 2 weeks. So I know energetically something really huge is going on out there, and that we all really, really feel it,
And that is one of the things that I feel very, very excited by. Every time I get that sensation of, ooh, something's changing, something's shifting. I get excited. I think, this is why I'm here.
Yes.
So interesting what's come out so far, because the first thing that I really wanted to reflect on was the fact that we're so out of practice of noticing the good. We're so good at noticing bad and being in the habit of that, and having to kind of force ourselves or do whatever we can to trigger ourselves into a feeling of good. And I think that's where we've been programmed out of it, actually, because I think kids are naturally attuned to finding good. And we've got kittens at the moment that actually they're young cats, and we've got this new one that turned up this week, Jay. So it's funny you're talking about helping a little doggy, because a few nights ago, 3 nights ago, we heard this yowling outside of our house, and we thought one of our young cats had got locked out. So Digby, our eldest, he opened the door, and this strange cat came in. She was yowling, and she was really angry and fed up and totally hungry. She had loads of skin kind of hanging off her. It wasn't really kind of fitting. Obviously a really young cat as well. And so we gave her some food, gave her some love. She was totally affectionate. So she's obviously got an owner somewhere, or is completely habituated to living with humans. And so we said we'd look after her for the night and put some messages out on Facebook. But you know what I'm really grateful for and really excited by is our next door neighbor, who is married to the president of our town, funnily enough. She'd seen we just say hello and just wave at each other each day. But we've never really spoken that much. And she'd seen my messages on these Facebook groups, and so she knew what was going on. And this cat had been yowling outside her house during the day, and it was in and out of our house. And we started having a conversation, and all of a sudden this kind of beautiful connection just arose. She called the police, who've got these little detectors so you could see if there's a chip in it. They came round straight away, maybe because she's married to the president.
That would help.
But all of a sudden there were a whole bunch of people sort of coming into our periphery about this cat, this little cat, dear little thing.
Oh wow.
Really loud meow. She's still with us 3 days on. She doesn't have a legally registered owner, so I'm just hoping one shows up. But in the meantime, it was just such a natural thing to do. She can stay with us. Carl's named her, so she's destined to stay, really, isn't she? Once you name her.
That is so helpful.
In that moment. And it's interesting because Suze has just said, any chance that cat is pregnant? Yes, there's a very high chance of it. Very, very high chance of it because she's young. I imagine. I did wonder if she was in heat. She is in and out of the house a lot and yowling a lot. So yes,
I do that.
Well, when you're in heat, Jay.
With a hot flush, I yowl a lot. Oh, bless her.
But the funny thing is, like when I've been observing the kittens over the summer, because we'd had quite a few cats before, and a lot of them had died. There's quite a lot of roadkill over here, unfortunately. And I said to Carl, well, I don't want any more cats. I can't bear this heartbreak anymore. I've had cats my whole life, love cats, but no. And so for 3 years we haven't had any, and he just knew that we needed to get a couple. And in the end, he sort of persuaded me and said, look, I'm sure now we've made this decision, a cat will find us. And then within a week, our friends Mike and Dee, who've been on the show actually, they said this cat just ran at us, this little kitten. He's homeless. He ran at us trying to find. So he came, and then 2 days later, somebody else messaged us. So we had these two, and now this third one. I think, it's time to close up. But the delight of having these little creatures that want to be loved and looked after, they do their life in such a way. They are absolutely living, following their joy. We've got this one, and he's a bit thick. He's really, really lovable, but he's a bit dense. And he goes into these tiny little spaces he can't get out of. But he doesn't care. Like, he doesn't mind that he might be seen as a bit like, deficient in his cat IQ. But the cat is just so much fun, and he just follows what makes him happy. And so I was actually thinking about the kittens, what gets them excited about life, flipping everything. And they don't hold back. They just love it in a way that we've forgotten to do that.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Well, we've got 2 cats. I've had cats for a long, long time, and ours are just an absolute delight, And I don't know. I think people who don't have animals, it's their choice, but I just think, oh, you're missing out. Maybe they don't think so, but, I just get so much joy out of our cats. And Kim and I also give them voices at night time. I say, oh, what are you doing there? Oh, I don't know. I've got a nice mouse here. Do you want to share it? No, thanks. You're all right. I've had my tea. We do this. The joys of living in Wales.
Yeah, that's another thing. I think is amazing about humans is how we can make our own fun out of nothing. So all of these things, I think I get quite excited about things in general. Actually, I'm just seeing what's going on in the chat room. So Owen is seeing a lot of white orbs at the moment.
Oh wow, really?
That's
Hi,
really
Owen.
And Gillian's saying, I love that, Owen. Do you know what, Owen? There's a photo of me about 4 weeks before I met Carl. There's a photo of me and my mum, and it looked like there was a dust cloud around me. And it was from my shoulders down to just below my pelvis. And there were, I counted something like 50 odd orbs. We had to blow the photo up, and we were surrounded by orbs. And then a couple of weeks later, Carl and I were together. I think orbs sometimes show up when there's something to get excited about.
Yes.
Yeah, probably that's why. Yeah, that could be it. That could be Owen seeing the orbs around us lot, because we're all quite excited about everything at the moment, and also really enjoying each other's company, because I am.
Yeah, I think when something's about to change, we get these little signs, these feelings, these little
well, if they're light anomalies, and we're made of light, anything that's joyous in us will be reflected on the outside as something, maybe not everyone can see them. I can see them occasionally, but I do think that we used to have what we called an orb tree, just to go off piste a little bit, but it's still in the same vein. And when we lived at our other house, we had what we called the orb tree, because it was I don't kind of know what it was. It looked like a yew tree, but it wasn't a yew tree. It was of that genus. And every time this friend of ours used to come around at night time, I'd get the camera out and we'd flash, and he'd call the orbs in. Literally, we'd take a photograph and then say, Ian, call in the orbs. And he'd stand there, and he looked like a pixie king anyway. And he'd stand there and he'd call the orbs. And within seconds, thousands of these light anomalies would come around him, as if, honestly, we've got the photos somewhere to find them, and it was incredible. So definitely that they're around, and I think they do bring joy. you know, and I get excited about things like that, because I think, isn't it lovely to know that this isn't it, and I've always known this
Yes.
isn't it since I was a child. So having evidence of that by way of even orbs on a picture, to me, is exciting, you know.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yes. I absolutely love the sensation of realizing there's something more than we don't see. I love it.
Yes.
I can't get enough
Yes.
of it. So I
Definitely.
love when these little discussions go off on, you know, on a little.
If we go off on a tangent, well,
Yeah,
like,
I love it. I mean, that's what the whole thing is about. It's about us
yeah,
learning from each other and sharing all these fun things. And then I spend the rest of the day mulling it over and going,
I do. Yeah, it's great.
it
It kind of fires up my orbs, you know.
My realization that there was more started when I was 18, when I began having out-of-body experiences.
Wow.
Wow. Tell us a bit more about that then.
Well, it started with the first one. I came out of so it happened spontaneously. I didn't do anything for it to happen. I was doing meditating and things, but I didn't really know much about astral projection, which is one of the terms that I learned since that's used. But I came out the body, moved across up to the ceiling and fully consciously aware, and then down and then up again. And I was starting to get nervous by then, and then down through the floor. And that's when I went into fear and then was drawn back to the physical body.
Yeah.
And then it continued from there. And I realized that any extreme emotion is likely to cause a retraction back to the physical body, where the consciousness comes back to the physical body.
Yeah.
So I learned that I must stay calm when I'm out of the body. So it went from that to, and I saw what looked like a monk as well. This was a different experience. Another experience I had, I became aware of a monk in the room. I came out the body and I could see through my peripheral view, but I didn't want to look. And then I came back in the body. And then I came out and was flying around the building that I was living in Torquay. And that progressed to walking around the area.
Wow.
And then the experiences went inwardly, where I'd go into other dimensions and have experiences. Then I learned about manifesting, which is the same process as here. It's just slower on this more dense frequency. So I learned that I could shift my attention from one location to another by holding my focus on that, and that I could manifest out of the body any object in the hand by holding the attention and focus, and it would appear. And things like clearing spaces, or sometimes I'd meet beings that were disfigured, for example. And by opening the heart, there's quite a few things that occurred during this that taught me about opening the heart. And the light would come through, it would clear spaces and also work with the individual that was disfigured or injured in some way. And it was almost like an apprenticeship, really, on learning how to navigate out the body, how to control my natural human instincts. So some of the experiences I would be in like what appeared to be like a pipe full of water, not a very big pipe either, where there's very little room. And the training was to be able to compose myself to override my natural instinct, which would be panic, and to breathe, because when out the body, you can be at the bottom of the ocean and breathe normally. So breathing whilst underwater goes against obviously all of my instinctual conditioning. And it was like training to compose oneself, to be in control, to be beyond the physical human construct identity. Sometimes I'll be like, I don't know, 30,000 feet up in the sky. I'll just appear like way up, like where a plane would be flying, looking down, and then just descend down, just literally fall. And what the training was there is, again, controlling this and knowing that I can control my descent down. Descent downwards. Sometimes I just lose control, go into fear, come back to the physical body. And then I learned that I could control it through intention and focus. So I just flying down, full control, landing on the ground. It's like, yes.
Wow.
And then another time, it'll be the same experience again, and I won't be able to control it. But over time, there's this process of learning and development that's taking place where for a person that's experiencing this, they begin to master the skills of being outside of the body and how to navigate it.
Yeah.
And then there was meeting different beings, some really low frequency, dense beings that were not very nice. And at those times, that was about being still, allowing the light to come through, supreme confidence. And that would deal with those situations by raising the vibration. And then there's other ones, beings that were, these were incredibly advanced souls. They were shapeshifters. So they would, they had a different life experience to us, where their lifespan was significantly longer. And they would be able to go back to different points along their timeline, make a different decision, and then go along a new timeline.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
imagine doing that. That'd be amazing.
So there was no, isms in that place. There was no of it, because they could all take on any form they wanted. And it was a place of real peace. And I mean, it was just like this physical plane, but it's just the consciousness that was occupying the physical plane in the forms that they took. That consciousness was extremely high.
Yeah.
Extremely high. However, the surroundings was just like this, maybe brighter, but it was an earthly place. But they were just much more advanced beings. And
Vinnie.
then there were other experiences of, and this reminds me of Quantum. I think it was Quantum Leap. A program I used to watch as a kid, and
I used to watch that. I love that. Yeah, brilliant.
Going to different, right? It was very much like that, where I would connect, and I assume it's with the aspect, that we all have aspects through all dimensions.
Yeah.
Of us that occupy dimensions, and that are living in existence right in this moment as we are, all happening at the same time, right?
Yeah, that's my understanding. That's my intuitive knowing.
Yeah. Well, it's possible to go into those aspects of us and experience their lifetimes. So this was all spontaneous. So I never chose to do it. But next, I just find myself sat in a lounge, and this particular lounge had lots and lots of wood. It was beautiful. I walked out of the lounge into the hallway, and then went in that direction. And there was a little galley kitchen, and there's a woman in the kitchen washing up, and she just spoke to me normally. Obviously, I was her partner. But Vinnie from this dimension was looking through Vinnie or whomever eyes in that dimension. So I'm trying to engage in a conversation without seeming like I'm from another dimension or something. Do you know what I mean?
Oh
so
my God, that must have been weird.
Like that. Lots of adventures and experiences that taught me important lessons for this lifetime as well. We're having experiences there. Some of them really wonderful, some really painful, but those skills have come over into this lifetime.
Yeah.
So the scope of us is absolutely phenomenal, of all of us.
Oh, I agree.
That's what gets me totally psyched up and excited.
And I had a thing a few years ago actually, and I've never forgotten it. And it was like, in fact, at the time, I thought I'd had a mini stroke. I really did. And I'd been sleeping in the afternoon, and I got up, and it was suddenly like everything around me. I didn't recognize anything. Some part of me knew that, say, that was a wardrobe, and that was perfume, and that was shoes, but I didn't know. It was as if I can't even explain it to this day. And I spent a whole day like that. And I went downstairs, and Kim was in the kitchen, and I said, "Who are you?" And he looked at me, and being Kim, he just carried on. "It's me, your husband." I went, "Yeah, but who are you? What are you?" And I genuinely can remember feeling like really quite scared, as if, what the hell's happened to me? And he just carried on. And then all these things came out. And then I spoke to a friend of mine in America, because I thought she'll get it. Well, I didn't actually. It was Kim that suggested, why don't you get in touch with her? So I Skyped her, or rather he did, and said, "I need your help. We've got something going on here." And in that time, while I was in this beautiful place, I can only describe it as being the true essence of who I truly am, and the body didn't matter. Nothing mattered.
Wow.
And in that place, I could see so clearly what Vinnie's saying about how easy it is to just manifest out of the nothing and the everything and the all there is, the desire. And it was as if, how can I have forgotten this? It's so damn easy. We just have to go bing and it's there. Draw it forth into your present experience, and there you have it. And it was just it was as if I knew absolutely everything all at once, and I only had to think a nanosecond of a thought for the thought and the question and the answer and the solution and everything related to it, all there at once.
Wow.
It lasted for about a whole day, definitely, and it left me feeling totally in awe, because I experienced who I truly was. And then, of course, came back into this and thought, right, get on with it.
I have so much I want to add into this. I am almost sweating my pants about this.
Go.
Okay. Gillian said, Jay, a walk-in experience? And I did think that as well when you were telling us about... I interviewed a walk-in, somebody who knows that he walked in. Great interview with a guy.
I got major tingles going on here. I think she's onto something. Thanks, Gillian.
Yeah, and Gillian is saying, I love this conversation. This gets me so excited. Now, Carl wants to join us, so I will let him.
I thought he might. What's he doing here? Why are you washing up?
But I also want to share some things very much in the light of what Vinnie was saying as well. Can you hold back just and listen?
No, I can't hold back. Yeah, go on, carry on.
Morning, darling.
Right, so Vinnie, as a kid, I used to have lots of dreams, very much like the ones that you're talking about. Only I wasn't ever really consciously aware of having these skills, but in my dreams I always knew I could do it, and so I would manifest things in my hand. I would be able to fly up, and there were a couple of times in my dreams where I would fear falling and then think, no, I can control this. And so for me, my dream state was that place where I think I've experienced a lot of different consciousness and going into different realities, and being really cool as a cucumber about it. It was just like, I know this, I got this, perfect, no problem. But not consciously being able to do it. And I've had lots of things that happen. I wonder if Jay has as well, actually, around pregnancy and when I have my period, and also coming into menstruation. So it'd be interesting to see what happens the other side as I start to go through menopause. But so when I'd had our third child, Solomon, about a couple of months after he was born, I always go through these very like high as a kite moments after having babies, and it can sometimes last for a good couple of months, I think, because I'm breastfeeding a lot and I feel like I float out of my body quite a bit, like I could just disappear. I feel like that actually in the pregnancies too. But this one night, I had the most vivid experience of my life, and I wasn't physically conscious. I was asleep at the time, but it felt so real. And so I was walking in a building down inside the bottom of the building, and I was walking with Carl, actually. I think it was a hotel or something. And he came down into the basement with me, looked around, and I saw these lovely walls, and I thought, wow, where am I? I want to see this. So I just held my hand up to the wall, and all of a sudden these lights from nowhere came on, and it was like the most beautiful kind of material I'd ever seen. I was fascinated by it, really excited. I saw lots of various different things in this place, and it was just, I was really excited. I had this feeling of kind of curiosity and joy. And then I saw this really big staircase, and you know how staircases turn around in the middle sometimes, and there was this great big picture window, and I could see through the window. And I could see it was night, but it wasn't just night. It was like the whole galaxy. Now, I have to add in, I don't even know if I believe in galaxies, and I don't even believe I don't even know if I believe in outer space, even though I'm an astrologer who works with planets. I don't even know if any of that is real. And I hold equally in my being that it can maybe be real and also maybe not be real. But in this dream or this moment, I saw a galaxy, and then I felt my whole body fizz, and it was like peeling out of a banana. Like all of a sudden I felt my body surge forwards up this staircase. I wasn't walking. I felt myself rise up, and every step I went up, it was getting more and more orgasmic. It was like my body was just melting away. And I felt like it was fizzing all over. And I just went straight through the window, and I felt my being expanding. I felt like I could be as big as everything. And I had this really strong knowing, and I said, oh my God, I'm going to the Creator.
Wow.
I am going, and my next thought was, I'm going to know everything.
Oh, wow.
So excited because I was going to.
Lovely.
My thinking process went, I'm going to the Creator. I'm going to know everything. Oh my God, I'm going to realize what the whole purpose of this whole thing is. And I was really, really excited. It was like the most vivid experience of my whole life. And then, like moments later, and I was shooting through time and space or whatever was actually going on, I had the thought, I've got a newborn, I've got my kids, I've got my husband. And in that moment, I said, it's not my time. And then whoosh, back in my body, and the bed sort of physically like shook. And then I was just racked with tears. I really felt like I could have gone in that moment. I felt like I had the chance to properly leave and say goodbye. And I will never know to this day if that's actually what happened. But that was like the most vivid experience. I really felt that was
so
so
profound. Yeah.
So like
Isn't
the knowing like that I could know everything and realize what this is all about. Like so the
absolutely
realization was my most excited moment I've ever had.
Yeah.
Obviously making love to this man next to me.
Well, you know what? If I can just interject there, the experience that I had at that particular time was post that very thing.
Wow.
And I'm thinking to this day, you know, he's don't want to say too much. Mr. Ray's quite a private person, but you know, suffice to say, I think we all know where that goes. And it was after that, and I'd gone to sleep, just into this beautiful sleep, and then it was like I woke up suddenly, and he was there at the time, you know, and I just sort of felt, and I thought, oh my God, what's this? What is it? What is it? And I looked at him, and I was like, oh God, what is it? What's this thing? Oh, and everything felt really weird. Wow. And then I looked around the room, and it was like, what the hell's that over there? And something was saying, like the echo of something was saying, that's perfume. And I'm thinking, what's perfume? What do you do with that? What is it? They're all just things. And it felt as if I dropped into a set. So Gillian, I don't doubt, I've often thought myself, was it a walk-in experience? Because I kind of felt as though, you know, the first half of my life was that stuff. And then there was another phase where I had to come in and take over. And I know lots of people who've also had walk-in experiences, and they have been completely and profoundly changed by that experience, you know, and they've become different people, even in the same body. Yes. So, you know, one in particular, which I won't go into now, but absolutely, definitely a walk-in experience. So, yeah, it's amazing. And I did know everything. I really did. I wish I did now.
Well, that. We've got so many comments coming in. I'll just share this one quickly, given what you just said. Gillian saying, maybe we already know everything.
Yeah. Yeah, to that one.
It depends which you or we were talking about, doesn't it? That is the critical thing here.
And I will bring all the comments up in a minute, but I can.
It won't be a minute. It won't be a minute. I need more than a minute.
I'm ready to talk.
Why? Could you stop doing this show? I'm trying to get on with stuff. There are so many fabulous morning, Jay. Morning, Vinnie. Lovely to see you.
Morning, lovely.
And fantastic to hear you in the background of me trying to get on with normal life. And then drawn through the veil, and here I am on the other side in the live stream. There are so many.
I drew you in, you see. I manifested you. I was like, I had you in the palm of my left hand going, Carl, come on.
It sounds like a joke. It's real. I fact checked it, and it is real. Here I am. I'm pinching myself now. Ouch. There are so many. There are so many threads, aren't there? And this is what happens. Mrs. M's done it again. You know, the show's called "What Gets You Excited About Life," and it's just a stick, isn't it, around which the spiritual candy floss is then spun. And here
I
we're
like that.
having a most amazing conversation. And like, you know, I was thinking this relates to a moth I killed yesterday. And it relates to other thoughts I've been having recently, and how I love when I wake up to not know for a moment who or where I am. I really like that feeling. And Vinnie, listening to you talking about, you know, traveling out of the body and what it means to become, how you have to stay calm, I think is what you said. You know, if you stay calm, the experience can continue, because the dimensions, properties of that realm are affected by the worldly feelings and emotions we have. So then, you know, prompts
like
the question.
lovemaking as well. Like,
how do you mean?
From a male perspective.
Yeah.
I'm not a male. But you know, like, you know, and Gillian, I don't want to reveal what you do, Gillian. Obviously you're coming on tomorrow, but you might have something to add to this. And now I've probably made it sound really terrible.
Yeah. Or very intuitive.
I'll be there.
But like the whole idea that things can last a whole lot longer when we are consciously staying calm. And
I see what you mean.
Not letting our sexual rush get the better of us.
There's another thread. This is perhaps a
storm.
definition of tantra, isn't it? Is that when the grossest of emotions come into play, that which is divine and eternal gives way to the momentary and personal, doesn't it? So, and that's the dynamic to be working with. You know, like walking in, walking out, which is the real thing. And what the first thought I had listening to you, Vinnie, earlier on, and the conversation generally, is a sort of inception type thought. That if we're here believing this world is the real one, and we astral out as though that were another place, what is the place before this one that gives rise to this one in which we're talking now?
Yeah.
And can we access that? Is that the astral, or is it something else? And this is something I think people do experience through drugs. This is why we still have a drug problem, isn't it? Because let's be honest about it. People have the most amazing experiences on using drugs of various kinds. And I'm not advocating or wanting to get Mrs. M banned here, but this is what doesn't get talked about with sex, with drugs, and probably with rock and roll as well. Is it's all about the consequences and effects, which can be disastrous with all of those things, as Russell Brand is finding out right now. Really, I mean, that's not a joke. He really is having his face rubbed in his worldly experience. And for better or for worse, we'll have to wait and see on that, won't we? But we never talk about that bit, do we? It's like, you know, you say to somebody, you know, why were you addicted to sex or drugs or alcohol or a certain sort of lifestyle? I never see in the mainstream bandwidth people saying because there's a moment in it which is so free, divine, relieving, all the things we've talked about this morning. Those are gateways to that, aren't they? And let's you know, to just add I'm not saying that's a really good reason to do those things. I'm just making the observation that it is a gateway. And the problem is, the reason why it's so difficult for our society is it's often a very unsustainable and disastrous gateway. Again, as Russell Brand is finding out, and anyone who's faced addiction will find out. And what a sort of cosmic and divine shame it is that if we were otherwise instructed or aware, we could have access to that bliss. Impersonalization, universality, whatever you want to call it, oneness.
You're right,
without having to resort to that. So, and this is what we do to our young people, isn't it? It's like we don't say to them, "Bliss is available to you." You know, and these are the practices of your ancestors. That
oh my God, yes,
they have to go off and do it behind the bike sheds, don't they? It's like it's mad.
It is mad. Well, you know, I said that this week because I discovered through my lovely friend Andrea Prophet, who does the sound healing stuff, and she's always bringing new things to the table for you to go and have a look if you fancy it, you know. And she introduced me to this wonderful lady called Veda Austin, and she works with water. I think we've mentioned this before in previous.
I saw that. I sent you the link.
Absolutely incredible, and that just so excited me, and it got me off on a whole new tangent. But then I realized, you know, as we're talking here, isn't spirituality also, and the new age stuff, also an addiction? I know it was for me.
No
And I
question.
got addicted on the very next high of, the next thing, and what's the next book, and what's the next set of cards, and what's the next,
This is a
and all of
recovery
that
group.
is
This
quite
is
dangerous as well.
if you're watching this, you are looking at New Age 12 step, aren't you?
You are, yeah,
My name's
definitely.
Carl, and I'm a recovering New Ager.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not making a cheap joke about people who really suffer with alcohol addiction, but there is a resonance here.
There is definitely.
about
Yeah,
how-
I'm Jay, and I was addicted to channeling,
Yeah.
And when I say I was addicted to channeling, I say that because I think there was some ego attached. That doesn't mean there wasn't some good came out of it, but nowadays, what I consider is channeling for me is, I prefer to call it live streaming consciousness. So that when I need to plug into that consciousness and stream it live, I know exactly how to do it, because the same process that Vinnie went through with learning how to go in and out of the body and all its associated lessons for this lifetime, for the human that we are, I had that with the channeling thing too. So now I call myself, I don't call myself anything at all, but I have the ability to live stream consciousness, which is exquisite for those who actually experience it with me, and for me, definitely, it's amazing.
We have, and we
experience
love
your
you.
life.
We love you for that.
Oh, bless you.
Jay is like our sorry, Vinnie. One second. Jay is our baby whisperer. So before
delightfully
I met Carl physically, I was listening to his shows. I rang into one of his shows where Jay was,
I remember,
answering questions, and I asked the question, do I need to get a sperm donor? I really want to be a mum. And you gave a beautiful sort of channeled live streaming consciousness message to me. You don't need to go anywhere. The person is going to come straight to you, straight to your home, straight into your inbox. And it was so funny. Like, everything that you spoke about was about Carl. And I didn't need to leave. He was already there.
In your inbox. It was in your box.
Yeah. And you, it's kind of like a joke about it, really.
Shut up, Carl.
You got mail.
And yes, I did have a mail. And it was really funny, because you said it was all going to turn around in a month, and 3 weeks later, I was pregnant.
Yeah, I know, it was quick.
Each time a baby has been ready to come through us, you've been there by our side.
Do you know, it's wonderful to remember that, Louisa. Thank you for that, because I forget all these things, and people sometimes say to me, you said this, you said that, and I'm like, did I really?
I'm like that with astrology.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like our last child, Solomon, when we knew he was a boy, we called him Solomon, because as I connected with his scan for the first time, I heard him talk to me, and it sounded like he had 1,000 voices all merged at once. And
tingly moment.
When we first met Jay was communicating from Solomon.
That was what my process was called, on account of the fact that I felt like I'd had a connection with the 12-foot owl sitting at the end of my bed, who said, I am Solomon. And for that, I took it to mean I am wisdom incarnate. And that was it, really. And that's how that took off. And it's since evolved. And I don't need any labels now. It's just as we're chatting. It could happen now spontaneously. If one of you needed a heart question answering it, we go, bang, there you go. Be straight there.
If our son all of a sudden says, I don't need any labels anymore, I'm just going to fall off my chair.
Yeah.
Vinnie, you want to say something, don't you?
Oh, it was interesting when you said what happened within 3 weeks. What's really significant, I feel, with all of this is being open to it and actually going there first.
Yeah.
So if somebody's saying, I want to meet my soulmate, it's never going to happen. If they're running that in their mind, it closes the door.
Yeah.
Energetically, for that energy to come in and then for it to manifest physically.
Yeah.
So I just feel it's really important to go there first and to believe it and know and to trust and just to let go of this story about all the doubt and all that stuff, to let go of it and to go there first
I agree with you, Vinnie. And what one of the problems I had and still do sometimes is, how do I actually do that? What do you mean go there? How do I do that? How do I go there first? Because sometimes I'm so far from it. It's like getting a bus to London from here, you know. But suddenly then I remember, it's like, right, you don't have to do, like I said to Louisa, you don't have to do anything. And as I think we've all agreed, and probably our listeners as well know, because I know they're all knowing, wonderful souls, we all know that we already know it all. And we already know that when we go into our hearts and just sit and just trust and go, you know what, I don't have to think about this. I just have to go, I want that. I don't know how to get to it. I'm not going to sit for the next 4 weeks worrying about it. I'm just going to trust it'll come. And if it doesn't, something more wonderful is going to come for everybody. Yeah. And that was a little bit of channeled live streaming there.
We
came right from the heart and soul. And it was like, just all you need to do, guys, is drop into your heart. All you need to do is sit for 2 minutes and just allow yourself the time to just sit there and just trust. You don't even have to ask the question, because you are the question and I am the answer.
Yeah. Now,
wow.
I'm actually working on this at the moment. I'm working on being at course. So I've been in and out of course, and it's just wonderful being in it, because anything I want, anything I choose to have, more specifically, I'm not focusing on the physical when I'm in course. I'm focusing on the energetics of it. So if I wanted to be in a loving relationship, for example, I would just believe I have a loving relationship, and I spend a bit of time feeling that, and my reality would be that I'm in a loving relationship, and I just wouldn't run any stories again, and that's it. Just leave it alone, and then periodically I'll own it as if it's really happening right now, and then I'll leave it alone. And what I would be doing is the opposite of all the stories again.
Yes.
And so I'm giving myself, okay, my main point is, and it works really well for me, whatever I want, I'm choosing to have it physically. That's the outcome. No, sorry, energetically, I've got it. So I'm choosing that to be my win, and not the physical representation of it.
Yes.
So I can have it right now.
Yeah.
Now, that may not hold much water if somebody's got the rent to pay and they haven't got the money to pay the rent. So there's different levels of this, of letting go and trusting. You know, my life's pretty stable, so it's very easy. It's easier for me to do this from a stable place. I have to do it from a complex place where, you know, end of the month, I literally couldn't afford my outgoings. I trusted and trusted. And on the 30th, and it was the 31 days in that month, I got some money from somebody that owed me a number of pounds. He sent me $2,000, and it was like, oh, yes, I could pay everything, right?
Bless. Yeah.
I find when I can do that, I'm at course.
Yeah.
I'm not at effect. Now, effect is where emotionally I'm reacting to a lack in some way. I'm at effect. I used to think effect was external. Something bad happens, but it's not. It's my response to it internally puts me at effect. So if I crash my car, basically it's this thing called a car that collides with this other thing called a car, and that's it. Yeah. But I can add another 101 different responses to that, or stories to it. But it's as simple as a car crashing into a car.
Well said, Vinnie. And that's
brilliant.
Sorry, go on, mate.
So how committed am I prepared to be empowered, to walk in the light, or to be empowered, or to be at course?
Yeah.
Because running the other stories I found doesn't help me in any way. It makes my life more complex.
Sure.
Yes.
Being conscious and aware and choosing, then I'm happy all the time, actually.
Yeah.
I'm literally happy all the time. Life's really
brilliant.
exciting. When I'm at effect, I'm up and down. I'm up and down emotionally. When I'm at course, I'm cruising. It's just like an upward trajectory.
Yeah. And I, for me, you've defined God and man, or God and human there, or the God state and the human state.
Yes.
And it's very interesting that you describe, you know, when you've got rent to pay, it's difficult, because these are the dramas of the human being, aren't they? And that's that is what keeps humans. And I feel like I have to preface a lot of what I'm saying by, it's not their fault. and it's the world we've created. And this isn't just, you know, another way of saying people can just pull themselves up by their bootstraps. The point is if we are in our drama and stories, we are not divine or universal, and it can be seen, can't it? And that's why I think it's like, to them that have it shall be given. Ultimately, the meek inherit the earth. But in the meantime, I've noticed that wealthy people have more and more given to them, and people who are living right on the crunch line, constantly stressed, can't get out of that because they are on the edge of drama. And this is what we're doing to our fellow human beings, isn't it? It's perpetuating a world, or supporting one perhaps, where people are persistently, perpetually stressed. And, you know, you can go into a whole sort of conspiracy theory about that, which I also think is true. But having people in that state makes them very human. And alternatively, you know, it's so fascinating to be in the company of wealthy people, or people who've transcended other human dramas. They have new dramas and stories, don't they? They have different dramas and stories, but they sometimes have defeated or sidestepped the dramas of most everyday people. And the interplay between those groups is fascinating, isn't it? Because the poor people, in those worldly terms, want to be like the people they think have transcended that. And then Jim Carrey says to them, no, even when you've got all you want, it's still shit.
Oh, my hero. I love Jim Carrey. He's my hero.
And he's got a different level and quality of drama, hasn't he? But the point, I think the point remains that if Jim or his fans can come back to their divinity, which is not an easy thing to do, whether you're rich or poor, but if you can, you're then free in the way that Vinnie describes, and that cause.
Absolutely. Wow.
And it seems like it's the internal. So Jim Carrey's got all that wealth. If internally he's running certain stories that trigger his body to go into stress states, it doesn't matter what he's got externally. It's what's being represented internally. So I'm finding, and I don't spend lengthy periods in calls. I don't think I've spent more than 5 days in calls. And that is consistently right through the day, not picking up any resistance to anything. That place, I could literally have nothing. To a certain extent, if I was out on the street and starving, an advanced being could probably hold that state, but I couldn't. But when I have spent, you know, it is a blissful place. And I think that's the difference when he says that it doesn't matter what you've got, it's life still like that. The secret is taking mastership and ownership internally.
Well said, mate.
Of these projections of the mind, how we talk to ourselves, the pictures we're creating, the body impulses and responses called emotions and feelings that are not us. You know, not being swept away with all of that. It's that self-management within the inner world that is the secret here.
I think you're right.
That brings us back to the title of the show, doesn't it? You see, because my spiritually correct, recovering new ager response to what gets you excited about life is, well, one shouldn't really have an entertain excitement in the body because it ruins being at cause. And it's wanky and it's true, isn't it? Like all the best things in life.
Oh gosh, I can't follow that.
Well, it's wanky and it's true. That's the best review.
Yeah, I'm going to get a short of that later.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, Carl says.
Guys, you beautiful people, we've come up beyond the hour, and you know, I don't want to eat into your time. I could sit here chatting with you all day and listening all day.
You could eat into my cake time.
You've got an important wedding to prepare for. But I've really enjoyed this. But before we go, there are some more comments, and I do want to pay them some attention because that may well start another little conversation going. But I am in the wrapping up phase, just so you know. I'm just signposting a bit. So Sue, earlier on in the conversation, and I've got a little bit to add to this actually. She's saying, in fact, let me bring it on. Oh, you got a lovely little pussy.
A beautiful pussy cat. Oh wow!
Oh, look at Vinnie's.
I've got one of those somewhere.
Oh, so have I.
Okay. Susie's saying, I was with a friend in his last hour. I found myself staring at the ceiling, looked at him, and he was gone.
Wow.
Some part of me witnessed his leaving, it seems, beyond my conscious awareness.
Master Manifestor Suze.
Wow.
Suze is an incredible person.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think she is, and I've never met her. I love her.
I said to myself, why are you looking at the ceiling? Now, I years ago, I was really involved in somebody's death process. There was a neighbor, I was in my mid-20s.
You might want to rephrase that.
Yeah, I'm just thinking that too.
So the police will be visiting us.
No. Somebody close to me. One of
That's
the neighbors.
how a new ager says they're killing somebody, isn't it? I was
Sorry.
involved in the death process.
No, I didn't mean that at all. So thank you for
Yeah, okay, no
clarifying
problem.
that.
You're welcome.
So I had a neighbour who had moved from Croatia to England years and years and years ago, and he never did national service, and he was never allowed to move back to Croatia. He'd lost his right for his own nationality or residency, so he spent the rest of his life living in the UK, and he was I mean, he would be he'd be like 100 something now, so he was really old, and I was really young, and he had nobody. He'd never married, never had any children, and all of his friends were pretty old. And so when he was poorly, he had no visitors. And so I used to go and visit him, and I just loved spending time with him. I've always loved my elders a lot. And for about 9 months, I visited him every day. And that's a whole other subject. But the day before he passed away, I saw him jumping in and out of his body. I could see his spirit coming out, and it looked to me like he was really, really young and unencumbered, and there were other people filling the room. I had this really rich experience of a part of him communing, and it was fantastic. So I just wanted to share that, given that Suze had seen somebody coming in and out. So I just love all these things. Other things, and
that's that's part of our death phobia at the moment, is not helping with all that we've talked about, isn't it? Because I mentioned I was wiping a desk that I was setting up yesterday, and I managed to blow a spider out of the way. And sometimes when you're cleaning, you or doing something in the garden, it happens in the garden as well. You kind of just see, as you're moving your garden tool or doing something, that you're killing something in the garden, and it's like time stands still, and the act as you're receiving it through your senses is already taking place. And I smeared, how moths are really powdery. It was a tiny one, and even though it was tiny, as I wiped the desk, I saw it just go in a line of charcoal across it, and I felt really bad. And I tried to make good on it by thinking, the usual new ager, recovering new ager gamut of well, maybe he's going to be born instantly somewhere else now in a better life. So instantly made myself. But I also thought that is us as well, isn't it? At a different scale.
Yeah.
How momentary we are. And I know, and it's right that we are deeply attached to ourselves, our identities, our children, our parents, our friends, and our loved ones. Yeah. And we hold this world so tightly, don't we? Quite rightly, and it's beautiful. And it is also, paradoxically, it is what stops us from accessing the divine. It's the same thing again. That strength of emotion that bonds us. Would it ever be possible to live in that space, almost on the threshold of I love these people and this experience deeply, but I'm not attached to it, and I can be that is cause that you were talking about, presumably, Vinnie, right?
That cause,
exactly. I kind of heard something, make connections, not attachments. And we can be connected to things, but without attaching to them, which is quite difficult, really.
It is.
But again, I have it with the cat spring, as you probably know, Vinnie, as well. And all of you, you've got cats, and they often bring me a little gift. And one time, and it's mice, usually, or voles, or little tiny shrews. And my heart breaks. And sometimes they're in the death throes, and I'm like, oh my God, what? Just finish it off. And I picked one up one day because I could see she'd only just brought it. And I just held it in my arms, and I just cried. And I said, this little mouse, I'm so, so sorry. I love you so much. And I just asked the mother, because that's my go to. And I said, Mother, please, can you help this little one? Take it now or let it live. And with that, it jumped out of my hand. I'm not joking. I have the power. No, but I just thought it was that important. And it was obviously important that it lived as well. And that was it, but that was another experience, which was quite amazing,
But this is miracle stuff, isn't it? That's a biblical story.
That's what Jesus did.
Yeah, exactly. It is, though, isn't it? After 1,000 years or two, that becomes mythologized, doesn't it, into a miracle?
Yes.
And in fact, it can be quite mundane, without wanting to take anything away from the beauty and depth and love of that moment. It is. If we had it as more mundane and normal, we would be living an entirely different life, wouldn't we?
We would. We absolutely do. The quickest way to end a miracle, as someone once said, is to question why it is and what it wants. I think I was a quote from Jurassic Park. I heard that years ago, and I've never forgotten it. And it's like, yeah, you're right there.
It's so good. I love that so much, and I love that story as well. I think it's great. Squire of the Shires is saying Quantum Leap, Dr. Sam Beckett and all fabulous series.
Yeah. Oh,
it's a very quantum conversation, isn't it? Gillian is saying, as I understand it, we can sometimes have almost short-lived walk-ins where the walk-in hops in and hops out again fairly soon. I do wonder whether the resident being just steps aside to allow. It's really funny, Vin, because when you were talking about how you had that conversation with somebody and you were actually in a different reality, but you realized you were in the... every now and again, and I can never predict when it's going to happen or how it happens, but I will be in another reality. And so I don't know if it just happens when I'm daydreaming or washing up. All of a sudden, this like scene kind of plays out before me. And it's as if I know all the characters in the scene and I know what's going on. And, I could be on the other side of the world. And I have these kind of really vivid little tableaus, like these little videos.
Yeah, I get that.
In my head. And I never know when they're going to happen. And it's almost as if I'm actually in another time and space. And like they happen so frequently and so quickly. It's like I've just been somewhere else. And sometimes I think, have I just seen a video? Or
yes.
And I had them all my life. And then one day realized that I was having them and thought, I wonder what these actually are. Am I actually seeing through somebody else's like consciousness? And that's when it hit me that I think I am. And I suspect we're all doing it all the time. And that's when I really think, actually, I'm not really here. I'm actually everywhere because we all are. And then I freak out and then think we're going to wake up next to each other in a mental asylum, all of us, including everyone, including everyone that's watching today.
You're looking at it.
I think we should change the name of the Barefoot Broadcast to the Cuckoo's Nest, and we're all here, and I'm happy to be there, But well, it just
in a minute.
I mean, if we are creating a dream state, I mean, what a great dream state we're doing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, who cares whether it's real or not? We're just here right now. One of the things I remember vividly from talking to Benjamin yesterday, and we went through this process, and all of a sudden, when we were nearing the end of it, and I was about to break through into my aha moment with that little phrase I said earlier on, I choose to love my life and be happy. Suddenly my Sandy, my beloved Sandy, who is in spirit and has been since 1997, but she's one of my biggest guardian angels. She and I were twins, basically, in a lot of ways, although we were just cousins. But she suddenly, her face popped through and she just went, oh my God, I've always been here. And I won't tell you the whole process, it's boring, but it was lovely. And suddenly I saw her, and this breakthrough I'd had with this taking my power back, she just suddenly showed me all of our aunts, grandmothers, maternal line going back into as far as you could even, imagine. And she said, and all of them collectively said to me, what you do for yourself now, you do for all of us across time and space and every dimension. And I knew that when I empowered myself, I empowered all those women in my past because I am them. And then I heard, because there is no separation. And I felt it with everything in me, It was so beautiful, really was.
Beautiful.
Isn't it? Oh, I love that. I'm going to get a shot of that, by the way. Isn't it amazing how, a question such as what gets you excited about life has led us here? Because at the start, it's like, oh, I quite like eating cookies, or all of a sudden we are like, these crazy people having this multi-dimensional.
Oh yeah, but Carl and Ben said that the other day, because I remember on your show when I was watching that show with Ben and Owen, and you said, it sort of starts out all clunky, and then eventually it gains momentum, and we get our place, and we find out where we are, and it evolves beautifully into something probably quite different, which is, I love it. I love that.
Yeah, I think it's necessarily so. It is a reflection of the world we live in, isn't it?
Totally.
What is it? The doctor entertains the patient while nature takes its course.
Yeah, I love that.
Same here, isn't it? It's like, we have to get something started and evoke or summon up something else. You can't you can't go from 0 to 100 in this reality, can we?
No, we can't. No.
We're getting closer. We're trying, aren't we? All in electric cars and all the science and stuff that's trying to do that. And we want to do that because I think it's a reflection of our urge to know. But we do have to sort of, it's like foreplay.
Yeah, it is. There has to be a process. With most people anyway. Yeah, there has to be a process. Yeah. It's a logical process because we have a finite logical mind at the moment. And that's what we came here to experience, being in the physicality and this dimension where things are quite dense. So it wouldn't make sense to me to have instant manifestation, as much as I quite like it. And on occasion, I think maybe we can do that with little things. But when it comes to the bigger stuff, we need the process. We enjoy it. Do you think?
Going back to the lovemaking, it'd be like having constant orgasms all the time.
Oh God, you couldn't stand it.
Nothing would get done.
I'd have to go and have a cup of tea or something.
That's not the world we live in. As much as we want to go there.
I'm pretty sure if we had like immediate orgasm
on demand,
followed by the arrival of a child straight away,
that would
change things.
It already has, you could say, couldn't you?
Okay, right. I'm just gonna bring on these extra comments.
We need to climax.
Yeah, we need to. I recall going up. My face is going to really hurt after this because I'm such a big smile. I recall going up once above my bed, but dropped almost immediately when I realised it. I've had that. I'm sure. Have you had that as well? I think you have.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. I love that you hold for all possibilities, read the cosmos, etc. Louisa, thanks, Gillian. I always and I wonder if every woman that's listening that's had a child, I feel like when I'm pregnant that I actually have the whole of the universe in my. It's like the umbilical cord is a portal to all that is.
No question.
It is, the womb of all creation. Yeah, as the mother once said to me in a communication, I am the seed and I am the creation. They're one and the same. Because I said, well, which did come first, the chicken or the egg? And she said they came at the same time because I created the seed of life within life. Yeah. And isn't that just so beautiful? I love that. And so you would feel that because from the womb of all creation come all things. And so when we are pregnant, women have that wonderful ability to do that. And I'm so grateful for that, which, I think it's a shame men don't have that, but they've got their role doing other things, you're great at washing up and mowing the lawn and stuff. No, I don't mean that. You're all lovely. You're gorgeous. You're wonderful.
Oh, Jay, you're in so much trouble there.
Yeah, we've got a lawn.
God, I made some bloody shelves. What more do you want?
This is going back a little bit, but Gillian is saying, but that's what lovemaking is in truth, connection to and with the divine.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be as well. Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that.
I don't really work so much with sexuality now, but then it's part of all anyway. Excellent. Susan's saying people describe many loved experiences as spiritual. Gillian, can it be more about escapism than addiction? That's about your comment, Carl.
Definitely.
And I would agree with that. Fantastic show, says Suze. So glad I tuned in. It's valuable to recall these things. Gillian saying the term channeling suggests channeling others or another. And that always makes me wonder, who other? It's all there. We just need to connect, hear and see, etc. Yeah,
Absolutely. I agree.
A couple more reflections. Susie's saying, and it seems my being connected to you folks is deeper than a love of Portugal. Providence has become an important word to me again recently. I'm going to meditate after this. It seems perfect. My lol was Recall saying, you may want to reword that. I used to have chats like this when I was a student. I'm so pleased you're here. I can't wait to have you on tomorrow. If they are expansive orgasms, then that will simply enrich experience and existence. Yeah. I agree. I think when we have an orgasm, we are doing it for everyone, aren't we?
I'd like to think so.
Yeah, we are changing time and space. We're infusing it with love, aren't we?
You know that lovely film of that French girl? I can't remember what it's called. Amélie, is it?
Amélie.
There is a sex scene, this sort of climax scene where you hear her, I think, in her boudoir, and it echoes, it reverberates across the rooftops of Paris in quite that way that I think is that same motif.
Whew, I'm getting all hot.
And this happened after.
I just have to have a cold shower now.
Matron.
I'm going to have to whip him off to the boudoir after this. Susie's saying,
I'll mow the lawn.
Actually, that will get me hotter.
That's not a euphemism.
The pregnant glow is explained. Okay, that was Recall saying there's nothing done in that orgasm state. Yeah, we do a lot. And Amelie's a beautiful movie. Okay, well, I think we have really done this so beautifully. And Stephen Wells is saying, nobody call Carl or Louisa for the next hour.
An hour, Stephen?
An hour?
I can mow the lawn and do that in the next hour, mate.
Let's see that you do.
It's only a small patch. The lawn, mate.
Don't forget to trim the bush at the same time.
Yeah. Yes, the bush needs a bit of attention for sure. Anyway, on that of a Barefoot Broadcast.
Oh my God.
Thank you once again for joining us. My cheeks
are Let's go.
So as Mr. M is stripping off, getting into it, he's actually only wearing boxer shorts. He's not even fully dressed. Oh my God, he's actually
Do we need to know this?
He's off, he's ready. I better go.
Bye. See ya.
See you soon. And for everyone that's been watching live or in listening again, I hope you feel the reverberation of love. And take this feeling into your day. So enjoy life, and thanks for joining us once again. And we'll see you real soon.
Bye.
Bye for now.